introduce Dr. Michael Swick, Senior Vice President for Research, who provided an update on important research and scholarship endeavors at Rutgers. He reported that Rutgers had a record year in sponsor awards money and shared a breakdown of how awards are distributed. Dr. Swick also announced that Rutgers won 2 awards at the Edison Patent Awards, reviewed a slide comparing Rutgers awards to other Big Ten institutions, and shared several success stories related to research at Rutgers. He also discussed opportunities and challenges the university faces, as well as plans to support growth. Next, Dr. Consuela Askew, Vice President for University Libraries and University Librarian, began with an overview of Rutgers University Libraries and shared some numbers regarding library visits and usage. She also discussed how the university libraries are making information available and partnerships the libraries have established. Dr. Askew also updated the Committee on Innovation Programs and discussed spaces for inspiration and discovery, as well as efforts to optimize support. On the matters for action, Dr. Nancy Cantor, Chancellor of Rutgers University, Newark, presented the proposed resolution establishing the Master of Accountancy in Accounting and Analytics degree program at the Rutgers Business School graduate programs, Newark, New Brunswick. Chancellor Cantor explained that the program would bring an existing focus area to a full degree program and shared other advantages of the program. The committee agreed to endorse the resolution for board approval, and it has been placed on the consent agenda. On the informational matters, Dr. Sandra Richtermeyer, Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Provost of Rutgers University Camden, presented the Bilingual Education Certificate at the Graduate School Camden, noting that after completing the program, students will be able to teach the subject in all public schools. Dr. Richtermeyer then presented the English as a Second Language certificate at the Graduate School Camden, noting that it will allow students to teach the subject in all public schools. Dr. Richtermeyer also presented the Supervisory Certificate at the Graduate School Camden, stating that after completion of the program, students will be eligible for supervisory positions in the districts where they work. Dr. Richtermeyer informed the committee that the Accelerated Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degree in Finance at the School of Business Camden is being developed from 2 existing programs and will allow accepted students to take up to 6 credits of graduate courses while enrolled as undergraduate seniors. Dr. Cantor then presented on a degree nomenclature change for the Master of Science and Doctor of Philosophy in Neuroscience at the Graduate School, Newark, explaining that the change aligns more closely with faculty research and will better support the department's enrollment management. Chancellor Cantor discussed the Graduate Certificate in Disability Studies at the Graduate School, Newark, noting that the certificate will ensure that students across a variety of fields gain in disability studies, as well as the work that is done to pursue justice for the disability population. Next, Dr. Brian Strom, Chancellor for Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, updated the committee on a change of credit requirements for the Master of Science in Clinical Laboratory Sciences at the School of Health Professions, explaining that the change aligns with other institutions and lessens the students' financial burden while continuing to provide quality education. The committee then met in executive session to discuss recommendations involving an academic appointment with tenure and an academic promotion. The committee also agreed to endorse the following proposed resolutions for board consideration. Proposed resolution on the appointment of Charles Manyfield as university professor. Proposed resolution creating the Perry N. Halkitis Endowed Chair in LGBTQ+ Public Health. Proposed resolution creating the George G. Rhodes Endowed Legacy Professorship. And proposed resolution creating the Gerald Grubb Endowed Legacy Professorship. The committee agreed to endorse this recommendation for board approval, and they have been placed on the consent agenda. Mr. Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Piazza. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Tambusi for the Committee on Finance and Facilities report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Finance and Facilities met on November 21st here in New Brunswick in person and via Zoom. In matters for action, first, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer Michael Gower presented for endorsement 4 proposed resolutions. The first, a proposed resolution authorizing Phase 6 projects and their funding for administrative and student information systems initiatives. The projects within this phase comprise of the human resources and payroll system, student experience, financial management, planning and budget updates, customer relations management system, and enhanced reporting and analytical capabilities. The second proposed resolution authorizes the university to enter into a 5-year contract with Elsevier BV for the purchase of its Science Direct database that provides access to scientific journals, electronic books, and the right for Rutgers researchers to publish open access articles in the Elsevier core hybrid journals without additional publication charges. This resolution is for a single source contract, as Elsevier is the only company that can provide the Science Direct database. The third proposed resolution would authorize the university to exercise its contractual right through the purchase option to acquire the currently leased space at 609 Broad Street, Newark, New Jersey, otherwise known as Express Newark. This space is actively used for a variety of programs and events for Rutgers University, Newark. The fourth proposed resolution is to accept and certify the financial report on Rutgers allocation and transfer of resources across campuses for the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, which is required by the legislation that restructured Rutgers in 2012. Through the presentation, the committee was informed of the fiscal year 2023 financial outcomes for the total university, each chancellor-led unit, and central administration. The committee was provided with an overview, extensive overview, I might add, and complete background for each proposal, and each received the full endorsement from the committee. Mr. Chair, these resolutions will be found on the consent agenda. In matters for information, Mr. Calcato provided a presentation on the university's overall deferred maintenance level, sharing some historical information and current facts about the amount of space the university maintains, approximately 30.1 million gross square feet. Currently, there's a sizable and growing deferred maintenance backlog that the university is coping with. He then shared the relationship between the preventive, reactive, and deferred maintenance, and how an out-of-balance situation among these categories results in the university possibly spending more funds than it should to properly maintain the amount of infrastructure that it has. The current backlog of deferred maintenance projects is estimated at $8.8 billion. He shared that if the university could provide a continuous, ongoing amount of funding to address deferred maintenance, then the university could start to take steps towards a better balance between preventive and deferred maintenance. A multi-year approach is a more sustainable way of operating an infrastructure the size of Rutgers University. Mr. Gower shared his support of Mr. Calcato's message, and that it is a core in the initiative underway at the university that focuses on steps to achieve financial sustainability. Mr. Gower and I agreed to use much of January's F&F meeting to discuss this initiative. As chair of the committee, I stated for the record and offer that same statement here for the record, that the Finance and Facilities Committee is fully supportive of the university efforts to obtain and maintain a level of financial sustainability needed to succeed in the years to come. Mr. Boone provided the committee with an understanding and history of capital financing at Rutgers. He explained to the committee that the strategic financial indicators are a set of metrics used by higher education leaders to monitor institutional financial performance. There were 4 data points reviewed. 1, total debt outstanding. 2, total debt service. 3, total depreciation. And 4, total plant O&M. In addition, there are 4 metrics that are reviewed annually, which include 1, spendable cash and investment to debt, debt to revenue, 3, debt service to operating expense, and 4, debt service coverage. Mr. Moore provided an overview of the first 4 months of the financial performance for fiscal year 2024. Mr. Moore presented the fiscal year 2024 year-to-date financial report that compares the revenue and expense performance through October 31, 2023 to the overall fiscal year budget for fiscal year 2024. The report then compares the outcomes by revenue and expense categories to those experienced in the prior 3 fiscal years. Mr. Moore explained to the committee that through October, most of the university's revenue and expense categories were on track to achieve the level of budget approved for fiscal year 24. However, Mr. Moore further explained that there are a few categories that showed slight differences, which will be monitored during the fiscal year and reported to the committee in future reports. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report from the November 21st, 2023 meeting of the Committee on Finance and Facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Tambusi. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Heather for the report on for the Committee on Audit, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Audit met on Thursday, December 7th, 2023, both in person and via Zoom. Matters for information were presented as follows. Ms. Jean McDonald-Rash, Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management, presented an overview of student financial aid compliance. Ms. Rachel Honig, Vice President and Chief University Compliance Officer, provided an update on the healthcare compliance training completion rates and status of the Enterprise Risk Management Program. Mr. Douglas Orr, Chief Audit Executive, provided the status of the current audit plan, highlights from recently completed reviews, and the implementation status of recommendations from past audits. Mr. J. Michael Gower, Executive Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Treasurer, provided a summary of the fiscal year 2023 and fiscal year 2024 university budget review. Matters for action were presented as follows. Ms. Shelley Massey, KPMG Lead Partner, and Ms. Lawrence Weigard, KPMG Senior Manager, reported on the financial statement audit for the year ended June 30, 2023. Ms. Massey confirmed the audit report will have a clean and unmodified opinion. The university is awaiting key information from the state for completion of the financial statements. However, these entries will not affect the bottom line nor the change in net position. The financial statements were accepted by the committee with the provision that any adjustments to the draft presented would be reviewed with the chair for her final approval before issuance. The committee met in private executive session, first with KPMG and then with Mr. Gower, Mr. John Hoffman, Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Ms. Honig, and Mr. Orr. Mr. Chair, this completes my report on the Committee on Audit.
Thank you, Ms. Teller. Now I'd like to ask Ms. Towers for the Committee on Health Affairs report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on Health Affairs met on October 26th here in the boardroom at Winans. Dr. Frank Ganassi, President and Chief Executive Officer for University Behavioral Healthcare, discussed programmatic development and reported on the Behavioral Health Science Line's Arrive Together program. He then announced that UBHC Center for Integrated Care was awarded a 3rd Health Resources and Service Administration grant for the expanded Rutgers University Integrated Substance Use Disorder Training Program. Dr. Ganassi also updated the committee on a call center operations before sharing a financial summary, business analysis, and a review of staffing and quality. The committee reviewed 3 matters that required endorsement to move forward for the Board of Governors approval. The first, minutes of the University Behavioral Healthcare Leadership Committee meeting of July 18th, 2023. The second, University Behavioral Healthcare staff appointments, reappointments, and clinical privileges of September 19th, 2023. And third, the University Behavioral Healthcare's Quality Improvement Report for the second quarter of 2023. These items were endorsed by the committee for board approval and have been placed on the consent agenda. Dr. Sherry Huang, Vice Chancellor, Graduate Medical Education and Enterprise-Wide Designated Institutional Officer, reviewed the Rutgers Health Organization structure and updated the committee on an accreditation council for graduate medical education site visit and the current status of the accreditation process. She also reviewed ACGME-sponsored programs, resident and faculty surveys, and new program growth. Next, Dr. Huang reviewed Rutgers' top scoring programs for 2022, five-year GME strategic projections, and professional development initiatives. She also discussed match data for the current academic year, as well as ACGME ethnicity data. Then Dr. Vincente Gracia, Senior Vice Chancellor for Clinical Affairs and Vice President for Health Affairs, discussed the importance of leadership creating a culture of psychological safety and updated the committee on new resources related to student health and wellness. He also highlighted events that Rutgers held during National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month and reviewed the RBHS RWJ Barnabas Health Professional Wellness Survey. Dr. Brian Strom, Chancellor of Rutgers Biomedical and Health Sciences and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, shared a progress report and discussed the benefits of reducing healthcare's impact on the environment. He then reviewed recent administrative appointments and explained that the Rutgers School of Nursing is one of two New Jersey organizations to receive the 2023 Health Professions Higher Education Excellence in Diversity Award from Insight into Diversity magazine. Next, Chancellor Strom provided an overview of RBHS performance in the U.S. News and World Report's rankings of graduate schools and shared an update on October's RBHS Leadership Retreat in Asbury Park. He also shared updates on the Rutgers Health Strategic Plan and the integration of the medical schools. Chancellor Strom then discussed RBHS 10-year anniversary celebration and reported on the 2023 RBHS Chancellor Awards. He also shared an update on the new Rutgers Health brand and Rutgers Health internal marketing plan, as well as pride building events, the RBHS Newark physical master plan, and goals for RBHS second decade. Finally, Ms. Kathleen Bramwell, Senior Vice Chancellor of Finance Administration, provided a financial update during which she reviewed the financial performance of each of the entities across RBHS. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the report of the Committee on Health Affairs.
Thank you, Ms. Towers. I would like to ask Mr. Egan for the Committee on Intercollegiate Athletics report, please.
Yes, thank you. The Committee on Intercollegiate Athletics met on November 1st, 2023, 2 p.m. Chairman Mark Angelson presiding. Athletic Director Patrick Hobbs, Director of Intercollegiate Athletics for Rutgers University, New Brunswick, provided an overview of sports at Rutgers, New Brunswick, and shared an update on the Big Ten Conference. Facilities. Mr. David Schultz, Vice President, University Architect, updated the committee on the facilities master plan for athletics, including economic factors, inflating the cost of construction projects. Mr. Hobbs then spoke about the many projects planned for the athletics facilities. Compliance update. Mr. Matthew Potteroff, Deputy Director for Compliance and Risk Management, reviewed the division's name, image, and likeness general manager company, Elitis, and spoke about the progress to date. He also reviewed recent discussions and issues regarding off-campus scouting and discipline measures for sports wagering, as well as potential changes to transfer window notifications. Same co-update. Mr. Michael Zuhl, Deputy Athletic Director and Chief Operating Officer, spoke about the university's progress in establishing the Scarlet Assets Management Corporation. Development update. Mr. Sean Tucker, Vice President for Athletics Development, Deputy Athletic Director, reviewed the fundraising pipeline progress, new gifts and commitments, and the monthly fundraising progress. The committee met in executive session. We were adjourned at 3:50 p.m. Mr. Chair, this concludes my report on intercollegiate athletics.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. DiMartino for the Joint Committee on Investment report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Joint Committee on Investments met on November 14th, 2023. Following the approval of the minutes from the September 6th meeting, the university's investment consultants, FEG, discussed the performance of the long-term investment pool and the attribution of those results as of September 30th, 2023. For 1, 3, and 5-year periods, the long-term investment pool returned 10.1%, 7%, and 6% respectively. Mr. McDonald and FEG also discussed the portfolio's FY23 results against several benchmarks, reviewed several updates regarding portfolio funds and their investments, and provided an annual update on the investment management costs. Mr. McDonald and FEG then reviewed manager recommendations, and after a thorough committee discussion, the committee endorsed the investment recommendations. Mr. McDonald and FEG then discussed recent investment activity, the progress of our index transitioning process, and the liquidity within the portfolio. And lastly, Mr. McDonald reviewed the expected activity and opportunities within the FY24 pipeline of investments. That concludes the report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. DiMartino. At this time, I'll ask Mr. Lau to move the consent agenda items, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any items that the members want to remove from the consent agenda? Upon recommendation of the Executive Committee, the Committee on Academic and Student Affairs, the Committee on Finance and Facilities, and the Committee on Health Affairs, I move that the board approve the items contained in the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Lau. Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good, the motion carries. At this time, I would like to call on Dr. Doherty to give the report on the Camden Board of Directors, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Camden Board of Directors met twice since the last report to this committee. On June 5th, 2023, the board began the meeting by approving the minutes of the January 25th, 2023 meeting. Then we had the Chancellor's report. Dr. Antonio Tillis, Chancellor of Rutgers University Camden, reported on commencement 2023 at Rutgers University Camden and announced 4 additions to the campus leadership team. He also reported on enrollment for the fall 23 semester, noting that there was a positive post-pandemic shift. Chancellor Tillis then provided an update on research at the campus and shared some noteworthy accomplishments of Rutgers Camden faculty and students. He concluded by previewing events and programs for students and Camden youth over the summer. Next, Chancellor Tillis called on Ms. Toni Mooney-Smith, Vice Chancellor for Marketing and Communications at Rutgers University Camden, to provide a report. Ms. Mooney-Smith reviewed the campus marketing and communications campaign, shared an update on moving Rutgers University Camden magazine from print to a digital format, and discussed the launch of the brand identity campaign and social media strategies. The board then met on September 14th, 2023, with an induction of a new board member. Dr. Walter McDonald was inducted and joined the Rutgers University Camden Board of Directors as a member representative of the Rutgers University Board of Trustees. Elections were then held for officers, and elections for the term September 23 to September 24 were held, and I was elected as chair. Anthony Covington was elected as vice chair, Michael Sapanik was elected as secretary, and Michael Gower was elected as treasurer. The board then approved the minutes of the June 5th, 2023 meeting. Chancellor Tillis provided a report and began by noting the campus welcomed nearly 1,800 new students and 21 faculty members this fall. He then updated the board on enrollment, reporting that there were significant gains in first-time in college, transfer, and graduate student enrollment. He also shared updates on the 15 and 5 initiatives, stating that 11 initiatives have been launched, while adding that the final 4 will launch during the 23-24 year. He also discussed leadership and strategic initiatives, as well as the campus strategic planning process and new traditions at Rutgers Camden. Chancellor Tillis updated the board on noteworthy accomplishments by Rutgers Camden students and faculty members and answered questions from board members before concluding his report. Mr. Chair, this concludes the report of the Camden Board of Directors.
Thank you, Dr. Doherty. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Simon for the report of the University Senate, please. Dr. Simon, is your mic on?
No.
Sorry for the interruption.
Sounds much better. Thank you. And that is a sign of pure leadership that we have a mic at the table. So thank you so much. I'm going to start again. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The University Senate met on October 20th and November 17th via Zoom. The Senate welcomed Chancellor Antonio Tillis for the Camden campus report and Chancellor Brian Strom for the RBHS campus report at the October and November meetings respectively. The Senate passed one resolution to reinstate a standing committee on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And it's about time. So we are very excited for that committee. And one report, S2307, on detailed recommendations on RCM. The Senate continues to hold firm to its commitment to engage meaningfully with university leadership at all levels, from the president's office to the chancellor-led units, to advance conversations around shared governance, around working together collaboratively and transparently, and around elevating the voices of those we represent in the university community. We are partners in this difficult work, again, at a difficult time, not just at our university, but in our nation and world. I would like to thank the partners who have stayed and stood in this gap together with the University Senate, both at the forefront and also behind the scenes. We have to work together because this moment is difficult. As we enter this seasonal time of reflection, pause, and celebration, it is my hope that our community will continue these meaningful engagements with each other to move this needle of change at our university. On behalf of the Senate, best wishes to our students first and foremost as they engage with final exams and travel home safely for holiday break. Our staff as they critically support the people and the spaces of the university so that we might cross the finish line in 2023. And finally, to our alumni, our faculty, our administrators, and our board members. Thank you everyone for the work that you do, and thanks in advance for your work together in 2024. Best wishes for a healthy and restful holiday season. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you, Dr. Simon. At this time, is there any old business for the board? Is there any new business for the board? Okay, before we adjourn, I always like to ask President Holloway if there's any final comments that you would like to make.
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you, President Holloway. May I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.